بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين سيدنا ومولانا أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد على أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين ولعنة الله على أعدائهم إلى قيام يوم الدين. One of the most important relations that a person has, and it is one of the deepest bonds between different humans, that is the bond between children and their parents. No other connection, no other bond is as close, and no other being is affected as much as a child is by their parents, because they wouldn't have come into existence if their parents did not exist. Therefore, a child, a person, a son, a daughter, owes their existence to Allah and owes their existence to their parents. Therefore, when we look at this relationship between children and their parents, however much a child cares for their parents, helps their parents, they will never be able to fully make up that haqq or that right that their parents have on them. Therefore, when it comes to the discussion about parents, it is not about adl, it's not about doing justice to the parents, because however much you strive, and even if you take care of your parents 24 hours, you do the best deeds according to the Quran and according to the narrations, you will not truly fulfill your obligations to them. It says in this narration, a person asked the Prophet of Islam, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, Ma haqqu al-walid? What is the right of a father? What right does he have upon my neck? What is the right of a father? قال أن تطيعه ما عاش. His right is that you obey him, you listen to him as long as you live. It's recommended by our scholars. They say that if somebody has to disobey their parents, or because in the books of fiqh, I'll make it clear, it's to hurt your parents. That's what's haram, to hurt them. But even about disobeying them, you don't have to tell them everything so that directly you disobey them, right? And تطيعه ما عاش, to obey him as long as you live. Then he asks, وقيل وما حق الوالدة? What is the right of the mother? What rights do mothers have? فقال هيهات هيهات. The Messenger of Allah says, لو أنه عدد رمل عالج وقطر المطر أيام الدنيا قام بين يديها. Even if, however much stones we have, piles of stones we have in this world, how many stones do we have? When you go to one beach, count how many stones and little tiny rocks there are. When you count all the raindrops, if all those stones and all those raindrops were days, and that you cared for your mother, those days, you were between her arms, you cared for her, ما عدل ذلك يوم حملته في بطنها. It would not equal to one day that she was pregnant and carried you. One day. So even if millions and millions of days you serve her, it would not equal. This is an issue or a topic that I really wanted to address, especially the youth. We all have parents. Either some of them have passed away or they're alive. We still have obligations to them. If they're alive or if they've passed away, we still are obliged to do good to them. Some people, they're good to their parents when they're alive. When they pass away, they don't do anything for their parents. then their parents in the next world is disapproved of them. So this topic is for everybody, regardless if their parents are Muslim or not Muslim, if their parents are believers or not believers, if they're sinners or not sinners. This topic applies to everybody because we did not have miracle births. We all had parents, right? We came to this world because we had a father and a mother, right? So this topic is for everybody. A person comes to Imam Sadiq alayhi salam. He is doing tawaf. And I'm giving this story so you can see how important it is that you can never fully fulfill your obligations to your parents. He is doing tawaf. He's carrying his mother. It's very hard to carry somebody. Just Hajj is hard enough by itself. Imagine carrying somebody. He's carrying his mother. He sees Imam Sadiq and he becomes happy. He's doing a good deed. It's very bad to see the Imams, na'udhu billah, if somebody is sinning. Even though when we are sinning, the Imams tell us, never turn your face away, never turn away from us. A person had drinking alcohol and saw one of the Imams and he turned his face away. The Imam basically told him this. He says, why do you do something that when you get a chance to see us, you have to hide from us? Secondly, never turn away from us. Even if you're drunk, even if you're drinking, don't turn away from us, the Ahlul Bayt. So this person was carrying his mother and saw Imam Sadiq, so he's happy, he's doing a good deed. And he tells Imam Sadiq basically how much he cared for his mother. He washes her, he combs her hair, whatever, he took care of her maybe for 15, 20 years. He says, is this sufficient, Imam Sadiq? Now I'm carrying her in Hajj. Is this sufficient, what I'm doing for this 15, 20 years? Is this sufficient? Does this suffice? Imam Sadiq alayhi salam, basically in this narration, said, it is not even equal to one of the cries that your mother gave while she was giving birth to you. It's not even equal to one cry. So first, brothers and sisters, this topic about respecting parents, and unfortunately, I feel that this is something that needs to be focused, especially in the West. Especially in the West. And everywhere, every country. Especially here, that we first ask ourselves, are we fulfilling our rights to our parents? And those people in these stories that I read, even if you did years and years of good, you have still not completely fulfilled. And secondly, that do we believe that our world, our material world, our spirituality, our health is directly related to how we treat our parents? Do we firmly believe this? That they are like a shrine, a holy figure for us? That if you want the dunya, do good to your parents. If you want the akhirat, do good to your parents. If you want spirituality, do good for your parents. If you want your prayers to be accepted, your salat to be accepted, do good to your parents. Is this something that we truly believe and firmly believe? Because our topic that we've been talking about in the month of Ramadan is how to reach perfection, how to reach completeness. And one of the best ways to reach completeness is helping people. And one of the most important people to help are our parents. When I give you this speech tonight, I'm not saying I'm a perfect son. I have many faults myself. My father is not here tonight, so he would tell you. So I'm not pretending to be a perfect person. I have faults myself, and I give these stories and these narrations to encourage myself too. I am listening to my own speech and learning, inshallah. So let's give a salawat before we begin, inshallah. First, let's look at the Quran. Let's look at the holy book of Allah and the guidance that it has. What does it say about parents? One aspect that you see when you read the Quran and it talks about parents, Allah, after talking about shirk and one of the worst sins, and when he talks about tawheed and not worshipping others than Allah, he talks about the parents. In many verses of the Quran, one of the most important actions, which is tawheed, the oneness of Allah, right following it are parents, doing good to the parents. I'll read to you some of these verses. وَأَعْبُدُوا اللَّهَ وَلَا تُشْرِكُوا بِهِ شَيْئًا وَبِالْوَالِدَيْنِ إِحْسَانًا. So worship Allah, don't associate anything with Him, and do good to your parents. Allah tushriku bihi shay'a wa bil walidayni ihsana, similar to this in a different surah. وَقَضَى رَبُّكَ أَلَّا تَعْبُدُوا إِلَّا إِيَّاهُ وَبِالْوَالِدَيْنِ إِحْسَانًا. God has decreed that you not worship Him and to treat your parents with a good treatment. This is a decree, a qada of Allah. When you look at the story of Prophet Yahya, the Quran addresses him as one of the prophets that has done good to his parents. This is a good characteristic. So those being good to the parents are from the akhlaq of the anbiya, are from the ethics of the anbiya. The Quran says, Ya Yahya khud al-kitab biquwwa wa ataynahu al-hukm sabiyya. We gave him the hukm, we gave him prophethood while he was a child, Prophet Yahya. Just like some of our imams were given imamat at a young age. This is in the Quran, that prophethood was given to the prophets at a young age. Sabi is a child. وَبَرًّا بِوَالِدَيْهِ وَلَمْ يَكُنْ جَبَّارًا عَصِيًّا. And dutiful to his parents. He was dutiful. He completed his duties to his parents. And he was not a disobedient tyrant. Some of us, unfortunately, to our parents, we are disobedient. To our parents, we're disobedient tyrants. Prophet Isa alayhi salam is not even born, he's just born. And speaking, the speech of Prophet Isa alayhi salam in the Quran is a miracle because he is defending his mother. He is defending his mother and Allah tells him to speak. And Prophet Isa alayhi salam, when he speaks, what does he say? وَجَعَلَنِي مُبَارَكًا أَيْنَمَا كُنْتُ وَأَوْصَانِي بِالصَّلَاةِ وَالزَّكَاةِ مَا دُمْتُ حَيًّا. So I have been blessed, I have been enjoined, and I have been enjoining the prayer. Prophet Isa, he's just born, he's a child, and he's telling people about salat. He's telling the people about salat and zakat. Pray your salat, do your zakat. Then he says, وَبَرًّا بِوَالِدَتِي. He, Allah, has made me dutiful to my mother. Allah has me, he is a child and he's dutiful to his mother. He is defending his mother. So brothers and sisters, this issue about doing good to our parents from this verse and different narrations that I'll give to you tonight is a rizq, is something that Allah gives to you that you can do good for your parents. It's not something that you do by yourself. Allah has given you the tawfiq to help your parents because it is a very great gift. It is a very big ni'mah to help your parents. Some people, they can't. They live in a very far country. But those that have their parents right here with them, and Allah has allowed them, either given them money to take care of them, or has given them the time to take care of them. This is all rizq from Allah. It's not from ourselves. When we do good to our parents, it's important to thank Allah because Allah has given us this gift to love them, to take care of them. Just like you go to Hajj, for example. It's a rizq, right? Hajj is something you do dua, and it's a provision from Allah. Looking at your father in a good way in some of our narrations, looking at your father and smiling in a good way is equal to Hajj. Ibn Abbas asks to the Prophet, he says, what if a person looks at his father 100 times, smiles at his father, says he'll get 100 Hajj. So the benefits of loving our parents, respecting them, is much, much higher than we can think. It's in the Quran, it's in the narrations, and it affects all aspects of our life, not only our dunya, our akhirat, all aspects. When it comes to business and money, you've all heard this, and you've probably experienced this. When somebody needs help financially, what do people tell them to do? What do the ulama tell them from the Quran and the narrations? They say, go do good to your father or mother, you'll find a good job, you'll get good sustenance, your dunya will become good. Because heaven is under the feet of the mother, right? A person comes to this big arif that we had, Rajab Ali Khayyat, and says that I have checks and they're bouncing, these checks that I have. Rajab Ali Khayyat, this arif, says that I can't do anything. Your mother is not pleased with you. So he goes to his mother. He's like, Mother, are you upset with me? She says, you know what? Actually, I am. She didn't want to say it. Actually, I am. 1 month ago, you came with your wife to my house, and she was going to help clean up. And you told her, you yelled at me. You said, Mother, you did not hire a servant. She is not your servant. You didn't let my wife work. You didn't let her work. After that, he realized what he'd done. He kisses his mom's hand. He makes it up to her. He makes her happy. She becomes happy. Immediately, his checks start getting passed. His checks, he has money again. So this directly affects our money. Do you want to raise? Do you want to have a happy life? Do you want to have a good world? Do you want to have health? It's not only about having great diets and about only eating vegan meals. Doing good to your parents will increase your health, your life. In this story, Fazl ibn Yahya, he lived during the time of Harun. He becomes very sick in a way that his sickness, people were afraid that they would get sick. When he goes to the public showers, they wouldn't allow him in because they're afraid he would get sick. So he consults a doctor. The doctor tells him not to have vinegar. Don't have vinegar and come to me. So he wants to test the doctor. He says, I'll have vinegar. Let's see if he finds out. He has vinegar. The doctor says, next day, did you have vinegar? I told you not to have vinegar. So he says, okay, so I'm going to follow this doctor. He knows what he's talking about. The doctor tells him, gives him this medication for 60 days. He takes this medication. After 60 days, he doesn't become good. He's still the same way. He says, you know what? This doctor was also a hakim, a wise person. He tells him, your father is upset with you. This medication will not benefit you as long as your father is upset with you. He was a Christian doctor. He wasn't a Muslim doctor. This is things not only exclusive for Muslims and Christians and Jews. This is for everybody. This is the rule that Allah has placed in this world. This doesn't mean that now sometimes kids will ask, what about us? What if our parents have not helped us? I wanted to get married. They never helped me get married. I had loans. They never helped me pay off my loans. I want to go to college. They didn't give me any tuition. Allah will judge them on the day of judgment. For parents, there's responsibilities for their kids. It's wajib to help your children. But Allah will judge them. Even if they don't do anything for you, you still have to respect them and be kind for them. There's no exceptions. So this is a rule for everybody, not only Muslims. So this person goes to his father. He kisses his hand. What he does to his father, he says that my relations weren't really appropriate with my father. He makes it up to his father. He comes back. 3 days, he takes the medication. 3 days, he becomes well. What took 60 days and he didn't become well, 3 days after his father was satisfied with him, he became well. So this is an example of health. Do you want health? Do you want to live a healthy life? Do good to your parents. Do you want to have financial security? Do good to your parents. And finally, do you want spirituality? Do you want to reach high levels? Whoever has reached high levels of spirituality, it's with helping their parents, being kind to their parents. There's a narration that says, "Man nadhara ila walidayhi nadhara maqitin wa huma zaliman lahu lam tuqbal lahu salat." If a person looks in a bad way to their parents, in a way that is a look of hatred, he's upset with their parents, he looks at them in a very bad way, even if his parents were transgressors, his salat is not accepted. Just looking at your parents, or how the Quran says, "Uff." There's nothing lighter than uff, just saying uff to your parents. Ayatollah Mar-Ashi Najafi was one of our great scholars. Some say he had tasharrufat. He met the Imam of the age. And the Imam of the age, he met him in, some say, Samir Ra, and that he told them specific du'as and prayers to do. Ayatollah Mar-Ashi Najafi, he himself says, the reason I became a servant of the Ahlul Bayt was because of my parents. He says, I was young, I was 11, 12 years old. I was in Najaf, his dad was an alim too. And his mother says, go wake up your father for lunch. He goes to wake up his father for lunch, and his mom is sleeping, and his father is sleeping. He's wondering, should I listen to my mom, wake him up, or should I wake him up, which is a bad deed? I shouldn't wake up my dad. He's wondering, should I listen to my mom or be kind to my dad? He's 11 years old, 12 years old, so it shows how he's going to become a mujtahid. He does something that he combines both together. He pleases them both. He sees the feet of his father and slowly starts kissing the feet of his father. Lightly, he kisses the feet of his father. His father wakes up and says, who is this? He says, this is Shahab, Sayyid Shahab ad-Din. He says, Sayyid Shahab, his son? He says, yes, this is me. He says, what are you doing? He says, I'm kissing your feet. His father becomes so happy. He says, may you, inshallah, become a servant of the Ahlul Bayt. May you become a servant of the Ahlul Bayt. Ayatollah Mar-Ashi Najafi, whenever he would write his name, they say his signature was servant of the Ahlul Bayt. He says, this is how I became a servant. And he reached very, very high stations. A person wants to meet the 12th Imam. He goes to Masjid al-Sahla. There are certain masjids where people go to visit and find the 12th Imam. He goes for 40 nights. The 40th night, his dad is sick. He says, his dad is sick, but I have to see the Imam of the age. Let me go to see if I can see him. On the way there, someone approaches him and says, go back. Awsika bil-aud. I tell you to go back. Basically, if you are good, I will come to meet you. If you're good with your parents, I will come to meet you. So these are stories if you want to meet the 12th Imam, if you want to be connected, if you want to be servant of the Ahlul Bayt. One of the best ways is, what we have to do, one of the conditions is that our parents are satisfied with us. And we have mothers and we have fathers. The narrations go for both, to help both our mothers and both our fathers. Please give a salawat. About the mother, I'm sure you've heard of that famous narration from the Prophet that a person asks, whom should I treat well? Who should I be kind to? And the Prophet says, your mother. Then he asks the second time, who should I treat well? It says, your mother. Third time, who should I treat with? Mother. The fourth time he says, father. So 3 times mother, she has 3 turns, then father. And the way that mothers are, and we have mothers here and we have fathers here, they say don't ever, even if your kids upset you, even if your kids hurt you, never do nafreen or do dua against your kids because it will be accepted. Don't curse your own kids because at the end they'll be hurt and then you have to pray again so that they'll recover. So be very careful. And mothers usually, they say their hearts are in a way that it's very soft. They'll forgive you much faster. They won't be, if you hurt them once, twice, 3 times, it'll be much softer. But the dua or the nifreen or the lan of a father, because a father will just snap and break and be upset and disappointed, sometimes it'll reach faster if a father is upset with you. The mother can tolerate it more, In a narration, as we've heard, Al-Jannatu tahta aqdam al-ummahat. Heaven is under the feet of your mother. And in some of the other narrations, those that go to war to defend Islam, this is one of the highest and most difficult things somebody can do. Being kind, being at service of your mother is not less than that. When we look at Risala Huquq, the treatise of Imam Sajjad about huquq and different rights that people have, this is what he says about the mother. He says, know that, and I read this before a few nights ago, but I'd like to read it again for tonight. He says, the right of your mother, this is what Imam Sajjad says, your right. What right does she have? The right is this, that you should know that she carried you where no one carries anyone. She carried you, nobody is willing to carry you inside their stomach. And she fed you with the fruit of her heart. You all have mothers, think. She has fed you from the fruit of her heart, that which no one feeds anyone. She protected you with her hearing and sight, her hands, legs, her hair, skin, and all her other organs. She protected you with everything she had. You were inside her stomach, her heart, everything protected you. She was highly delighted to do so. She was happy and eager, enduring the harm and pains and the heaviness and the grief until the mighty hand expelled you out of her and delivered you out of the earth, out delivered you out to the earth. She did not care if you went hungry as long as you ate. She loved you so much without any. If anybody does something for somebody in this world, they have something in expectation. I did this for them. I can't believe that. And then when they get into a fight, I did this to them, I did this, I did this. But the mother, she doesn't say that. She does it purely out of love. She gave you as long as you were fed. If she was hungry, it was fine for her. If she was naked, it was okay as long as you had clothes. If she was thirsty, as long as you drank. And if she was in the sun, as long as you were in the shade. And if she was miserable, as long as you were happy. And if she was deprived of sleeping, as long as you were resting. How many nights did our mothers not sleep? You know how kids are. They wake up and they cry, they want milk, they keep crying and crying. They say, as a joke, before somebody gets married, sleep as much as you can. Because when you have a kid, then you're not going to have sleep anymore. And her abdomen was your abode, and her lap was your seat. Your place was her abdomen. Your seat was her legs. Her breast was your supply of drink, and her soul was your fort. She protected you from the heat and the cold of this world. Then you should thank her for all that. You will not be able to show her gratitude unless through God's help and His granting you success. The end, it says, and you will not be able to help her and show gratitude until Allah decides. Allah gives you this rizq of helping her. Those that are kind to their parents know this is from Allah, it's not from us. One of the ulama mentions this story about a man. He has a dream. I believe it's Alam the Shaykh Tasqib. He says this story that a person has a dream. He sees a beautiful castle. A castle was so big and so large that the angels were just looking at it. This was huge. It's a very big castle. Then he sees this beautiful and great castle. Lightning strike and it breaks. It burns. It's all gone, this castle. And he says that this is your neighbor, Mirza Habib Najjar, the carpenter, your neighbor. This was his castle. He built it, and after a while, suddenly lightning struck and it was gone. He comes and tells his neighbor, I had this dream about you. His neighbor becomes very upset, hits himself in his hand. He becomes very upset and says, I had served my mother for 30 years. I have served her, helped her, cared for her. Last night, I became angry with her. I yelled at her and I hit her. I hit my mother. That entire castle for 30 years that he built, and the angels were amazed. He destroyed it with 1 second. See, brothers and sisters, they ask, what did Sheikh Nukhudaki, who's a big Arif, what is the biggest difference between him and other people? They said that whatever this Sheikh did, he kept. Whatever action he did, he didn't burn it. He didn't destroy it. He kept it. He saved it. That's the difference between an Arif and someone like me. I might go to Hajj. I might do good. But then with 1 second, I'll slip and I'll destroy it all. That's why it's important to keep what you have. It's important to keep your temper, especially Imam Sajjad alayhi salam has in one of his du'as says, give me the same fear that I fear the tyrants and kings. Give me that same fear from my parents, that I'm careful of them. True, you're kind, you smile, but in the back you should be very, very careful. At 1 second I mess up, I will crash and burn. Please give a salawat. Let's talk about the father. Same Risalatul Huquq of Imam Sajjad says, and the right of your father is that you should know that he is your root, and you are his branch, right? He is the aslu annaka far'u. Where is our lineage go back to, right? Where are we from? We are a branch from our Father. He is the tree. He is the root. And without him, you would not be. If it wasn't for our parents or wasn't for our Father, we would not exist. Whenever you see anything in yourself which pleases you, you should know that your Father is the root of its blessings upon you. If you see that you're handsome, if you see that you're beautiful, if you see any blessing, you're intelligent, if you see you have faith, these are blessings from your Father. No, you got these genes from your Father. And also parents. I don't think this is exclusive because genes comes both from mother and father. So both, you know that you got it from your parents. So praise God and thank him in recognition of that, and there's no power but in God. Brothers and sisters, some of us, there's a story of Ayatollah Bahjat. Sometimes we get arguments with our dad because our parents, especially dad, wants to tell us to do this and not to do that. We argue with him. A person was arguing with his dad the entire night, they say. Over and over, he was arguing about something. It was a political matter. He had a different side. He had a different political view. His dad had a different political view. He kept arguing and arguing and arguing to the morning, and then they're like, okay, I'm going to go to sleep. The kid later on was a student. He was walking, and he meets the big Arif, Ayatollah Bahjat. And then where Ayatollah Bahjat was just walking, he doesn't say talk to everybody. He just suddenly said that he said, don't upset your father. Randomly, he says, kid, don't upset your father. So these things, upsetting them, even arguing with them, it becomes part of our existence, it becomes part of us. People that have the eyes to see will be able to see this. Some of us, brothers and sisters, have parents that have passed away. And I said that our duties to our parents aren't only while they are alive. And I said that being kind to your parents, this is not exclusive to people that sin, that people that are worshiping. In some of our narrations, it says that there are 3 things that for everybody it is incumbent, even if they are a believer or not believer. If somebody gives you a trust, you have to give back that trust, no matter who they are. If you have a covenant with somebody, no matter who they are, you have to fulfill your side of the agreement, the covenant. And third, parents. No matter if they're fasiq or not fasiq, you still have to listen to them and obey them and be kind to them. Some of us have parents that have passed away. Some of them, both our parents have passed away. What is our duty to them? Our duty to them is to remember them and do khairat, to do good to them. Know that not only do parents that are alive, their dua for their kids are mustajab or answered, also parents that are in the next world, their du'as are answered for us too. A person comes to the Prophet of Islam and says, do dua for me, or comes to one of the infallibles. He says, have your dad or have your mom do dua for you. And he says that my mom or my dad has passed away. And he says, go to their grave and pray 2 units of prayer. Allah will answer. This is the messenger of Allah, or in some narration, this is the infallible. Their du'as will be heard, but Allah wants the parents that are in the dirt, in the grave, for them to pray for their children. So there is this effect that our parents have. And this duty that we have, that whatever we can and remember them in the month of Ramadan, when we do du'as, when we recite Quran, when we do good deeds, to keep them in mind. Some people, they completely forget about their parents after they pass away. This is something very bad, right? So inshallah, we ask Allah to allow us, to give us, inshallah, the tawfiq, because it needs a great intention. You have to ask Allah to give you this patience. You have to ask Allah to make us a servant of our parents, make you a khadim of your parents. I would ask If the brothers and sisters, or the brothers can dim the lights, we'll inshallah remember Imam Hussein. Before I begin this rosa tonight, and this is about, we're talking about parents, they say once the judge had to whip a father and son, just to show you how much it hurts for a father. The problem of parents is they love their kids too much, right? This judge sentences a father and son both to be whipped, 100 lashes. The father is first. He gets whipped 100 times in front of the judge. He doesn't say anything. Then it's his son's turn. Right when that person takes the whip and whips his son, the father cries and he's hurt. And the judge asks why. He says that I have whipped you 100 times. But once I whip your son and you cry, he says, here, that was my skin you hit. You've hit my heart. With hitting my son, you've hit my heart. This is the problem that parents have, their kids or their heart. This is why the Rosa or Musibat of Ali Akbar, the son of Imam Hussein, is so difficult. Because Ali Akbar was the heart of Imam Hussein. Some of our ulama said, when you go to Karbala, inshallah everybody goes to Karbala this year, do whatever roses and musibats you want with yourself to Imam Hussein, cry however much you want. But some say, don't mention the musibat of Ali Akbar to Imam Hussein. It upsets him. One of the Maddah said, if you want me to give the rosa of Ali Akbar in Karbala, you have to take the shrine and put it somewhere else. Everybody began crying. Take the shrine of Imam Hussein, put it somewhere else. So Ali Akbar was the son of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. And in some of our maqtal, I read from Luhuf tonight. It says that فَلَمَّا لَمْ يَبْقَى مَعَهُ سَوَى أَهْلَ بَيْتِهِ خَرَجَ عَلِي ibn al-Husayn alayhi salam. Nobody else from the Ahl al-Bayt was left, according to Sayyid ibn Tawus, besides Ali Akbar. وَكَانَ مِنْ أَسْبَحَ النَّاسِ وَجْهًا وَأَحْسَنِهِمْ خُلْقًا. He was beautiful. He shined like the moon. Ali Akbar. He was beautiful. فَاسْتَأْذَنَ أَبَاهُ فِي الْقِتَالِ. He says, Father, give me permission. It is my turn to go to battle. It's my turn to become martyred. فَأَذِنَ لَهُ ثُمَّ نَظَرَ إِلَيْهِ نَظَرَ آيَسًا مِنْ. He looked at him very upset, Imam Hussein. He says, go. But he's very upset. وَأَرْخَ عَيْنَهُ. He puts his eyes down. وَبَكَى. Imam Hussein starts to cry. And he says, takes Allah as a witness. He says to Allah, Allahumma ashhad. فَقَدْ بَرَزَ إِلَيْهِمْ غُلَامٌ أَشْبَهُ النَّاسِ خَلْقًا وَخُلْقًا وَمَنْطِقًا بِرَسُولِكَ. God bear witness that for battle, the most similar person, child, young person, compared to the Prophet in khalq, in his physical appearance, in his khulq, in his manners, in his mantiq, his speech, to the Prophet is coming to battle. Because Ali Akbar looked so identical to the Prophet that some of the enemies were afraid. They thought that the Prophet of Islam had come to battle. So Ali Akbar goes. He goes and fights. He kills people. The Ahlul Bayt were very strong. They were not weak. They were oppressed, but they were very strong. He kills. But then he comes back, Ali Akbar, and says, قَالَ يَا أَبَتِي الْعَطَشُ قَدْ قَتَلَنِي. Thirst is killing me, Father. Thirst is killing me. وَالثِّقْلُ الْحَدِيدِ قَدْ أَجْهَدَنِي. In this armor, this iron is tiring me. فَهَلْ إِلَى شُرْبَةٍ مِّنَ الْمَاءِ السَّبِيلِ. Is there a way for some water? Imagine this is making the heart of Imam Hussein burn, catch fire. His son is asking for water, and he can't give him water. So Imam Hussein alayhi salam, because this was the command of Allah, says, son, go and fight. Soon the messenger of Allah will give you a drink that will satisfy your thirst. Soon the messenger of Allah will go to battle. So he goes to battle again. And Ali Akbar, finally, one of the enemies of Allah hits him. he falls, he cries, ثُمَّ شَهَقَ شَهْقَةً فَمَاتَ. He cries and he becomes a martyr, Ali Akbar. Imam Hussein, imagine his heart is broken. This is his son. He's coming to the body of his son. فَجَاءَ الْحُسَيْنِ حَتَّى وَقَفَ عَلَيْهِ وَوَضَعَ خَدَّهُ عَلَى خَدِّهِ. He puts his cheek on the cheek of his son, Ali Akbar. And he curses the enemies of Allah. Then he says something that is in the Maqtal, and you see the pain of Imam Hussein. He says a sentence, maybe other places you don't see it. He says, Ala dunya, after the martyrdom of Ali Akbar, Ala dunya ba'daka al-afa. Dirt and dust be upon the world after you, Ali. The world, as if the world has no more meaning for me anymore. Some say that here it is when Zainab salamullah alayha comes and rushes towards her brother's son. Imam Hussein takes her and says, go back. Some say here it is as if when he calls the children of the Bani Hashim to come and take the body of Ali Akbar. Some say the reason for this is that Ali Akbar was cut into pieces, that Imam Hussein could not take these pieces back by himself. He needed the help of others to help him. وصلى الله عليك يا أبا عبد الله صلى الله عليك يا أبا عبد الله صلى الله عليك يا أبا عبد الله. Ya Allah, we give, if there's thawab in this majlis, we give it to our fathers, our mothers, those that are alive, those that have passed away, our grandparents. We give you the thawab of this majlis, inshallah, for their souls. Ya Allah, we ask you, we need help. Let us be kind to our parents. Give us the tawfiq of being kind for our parents. Make us honor them and be kind to them. Ya Allah, we ask you, those that are sick, especially from our parents, those that are weak, those that are old, to take care of them and help them recover, inshallah. Those of our parents that have passed away, may Allah have mercy on their souls, inshallah. Our, inshallah, the 12th Imam, the Imam of the age, make us good companions of him. Make his dhuhur, make him reappear, and give us a position in helping him and establish peace and unity and greatness in the world again. وصلى الله عليك يا وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين صلوات